Hey guys, it's Emil. I've once again been asked how I found my illustrators for Burning Suns, so I think this is a proper time to make a short video about it. I will just go through a few of the sites and how I usually approach illustrators, and hopefully you can get some inspiration so you can find the right people for your project. So the first site I will recommend is DeviantArt, and it has a lot of nice features that makes it easy or easier to scout for nice artwork, but I will get back to that. Then there's concept art that also has a huge gallery where you can look for all kind of artwork, and there are really some nice things here as well. There's Behance, which also has other kind of design, so here you specifically want to look for illustrations. So there's Shadowness, which I actually didn't know until a few weeks ago, and I found it to be very interesting also to look through some of people's art here. And then there is a Game Makers Guild that has a resource list with different artists, and I actually think that one of my artists is here. Yeah, this is of course very nice because you know people have actually worked on board games before. And on my own website I also put up links for the artists I've used. I think that's probably one of the best ways to find qualified work, is to look for people who recommend specific persons that they have actually worked with, and several of these I worked with for up to 2 years, so I can definitely recommend these in every way. Okay, when you search for artwork on something like DeviantArt, there are a few ways you can do it. I definitely recommend that you make a profile and you start to follow some of the people you want to look deeper into, like Gabriel. He's done some work for me. Of course, it can be hard to find people, or find specific people. You know, how will you just know who to look for? But once you find some artwork that you think is nice, these people who have done that usually have groups that they are attached to, which means groups where they get inspiration, or they have friends or similar. If we go to Janus, you can see he has some friends here, and this will usually be people that you're sparring with or you're in contact with regularly, which means that there's a good chance that they will be on somewhat same level. So if you can find one, you might be able to find other people that way around. You can also follow groups yourself, like for example Fantasy Unite or Fantasy Art. I get all their deviations, so in that way I can kind of get updates on who's doing some new artwork and so on. But the thing is, if you just want to look for something yourself, it can be very hard to find specific artwork. Yeah, like now I search for spaceship, and it can be any kind of spaceship. There's both 3D and 2D, and there's another problem with this, is that they are usually sorted in a way that doesn't really help a lot. Now the regular sorting is in popularity, which is this one is 7 years old, so I find it much easier to use other people, like find like maybe 4 or 5 good illustrators and then go through their channels, because that makes it so much easier to find. Let's see, this guy here who's done something like this, pretty amazing work, and then he is favored some other work of some sort, and going through him I can find other very qualified illustrators. So that's at least my method on DeviantArt. The last points I want to make is about how I contact illustrators. And I generally only contact illustrators who has an email address that I can see right away. Like if people don't have any means of communication and I have to use DeviantArt or any other message system, I don't contact people, because that's like if a business doesn't have a phone number on their website, then they don't want my business. That's how I treat it. So I always use the link in the email that I send to people. I always use the link for where I have seen their artwork, so we are completely clear on the references, and also when I look back in my emails I know exactly who I've been talking to, and I don't have to cross-reference something somewhere. So it's just to make it easy, nice and clear. And this is actually one of the latest emails I've made when I had to get some people on Burning Rome. And I'm very upfront about the fact that I cannot pay the same as some of the other guys out there, like Fantasy Flight Games, or but I also try to make it very obvious how I will compensate for that, and also in the contract try to describe the benefits or the things that I can do in order to even out the score a bit. And I think it's very important that you're very upfront about such things, that you cannot pay what others can pay, or if there are other things that is not in your favor, just be upfront about it so that you get that out of the way, because then you don't have to spend a lot of time on talking about the project, and then suddenly people say, oh, but you can only pay this, or you can only do it within this time frame, yada yada. Not possible. So just be upfront about it and get it out of the way. Another thing is just keeping a clear pitch and have a pitch ready, like a PDF where you've written a bit about the project and what you think is cool about the project, so people feel that it's a professional way you're contacting them. And send the contract draft with the email right away, so they can look through and see if the details are okay. And people probably will return with some kind of answer, and if it's positive, it's good to have a project room up and running that you can refer people to, so they can see some more of the project in detail. And I have that, and I can make another video about how to set up a project room and what I think is important about it. And the last thing, you might not get a positive answer, and you probably won't many of the time, so because a lot of the people you will be contacting already have work for many weeks to come. If you put in a note that you would be very happy if they could refer you to a colleague or a friend or someone, then you might get a free lead there. And since time is also an important factor here, if you have to use 2 or 3 or 4 weeks in order to search for the right person, if you can cut down a few days here and there, it's worth a lot. Hopefully you will be in the situation like I am, where you get contacted by illustrators on a regular basis. That I really appreciate a lot. So okay, that was it for me this time. I hope you can use it at least as some inspiration for how to find your illustrators, and be free to go in and look up my illustrators and find whatever you need. That I'm only happy if I can give them even more to do. That's great. So, and if you have any illustrators you want to recommend, just leave it in the comments below, and thank you so much for watching.